The next case that I want to talk about is the case of Laura Jack, who was only 26 years old when she was unalived near Florence, Oregon in 1982. So, Laura was originally from the Roseburg, Oregon area. In fact, she graduated from Douglas High School and attended Umpqua Community College. Now, her maiden name was Langle. I think that's how you pronounce it. Eventually marries Ron Jack, and they worked in law enforcement. He was a cop and she was a dispatcher working for different counties, but had moved to the Springfield, Eugene area a few years before she was unalived. On June 15th of 1982, it's a Tuesday and it's Laura's day off. She heads from Springfield over to Florence, where there was some kind of shop that restored dolls, and she had a doll that was given to her from her grandma, and she was getting it restored or fixed, repaired. So while she's on the coast, she goes to one of her favorite spots. She loved the beach, and she went to the Ocean Beach Wayside, is what it was called at the time. It's about 14 miles north of Florence. Some reports said that she passed away in Newport, some said in Florence, so it was kind of in between. But Newport is more north up here. The beach is right in this area. Florence, Reedsport, and Coos Bay is down here. And then on Wednesday, her vehicle, it was a Datsun, was found abandoned right around the Reedsport area. Now, some of her belongings were missing, so there definitely was a lot of suspicion as to what happened to her. Then the next day, on Thursday, the 17th of June, her body was discovered. And it was in it wasn't right on the beach. Her body was discovered next to some kind of cliff, and there was some kind of stream that was about 3.5 feet deep that led to the ocean, and that's where her body was discovered. Her body was actually submerged in a pool of water about 3.5 feet deep. Her body was being weighed down by rocks on her chest. When she was discovered, it only her legs and her hands were above the water. It was definitely apparent that somebody had placed her there. And just like her vehicle, none of her personal belongings, her purse, her wallet, nothing valuable was found on or around her body. After an autopsy was done, it was determined that the cause of death was strangulation. She was fully clothed when she was found, and there was starting to be some witnesses. People started coming forward and saying that they seen her at the beach. They had a description of the man that she was seen with, and there was a big hunt for this suspect. And here's a picture from Laura's funeral. Now, there was a big investigation. There was a lot of witnesses, a lot of tips coming forward. People were saying that the man that was seen with Laura at the beach, even driving her vehicle, was a man that was a beach bum, kind of a transient homeless person. And they figured out that he was staying in the Rock Creek Wilderness Campground area. They went there, they found his campground, and allegedly found some of Laura's belongings in that campground. So they started zeroing in on a certain individual. This was an individual that was actually questioned prior, that was living in Coos Bay, where I am now, and he was going by the name of Frederick Painter Burrows. But come to find out, that was just an alias. Frederick Burrows was actually John Wychick Jr. John had been living in Coos Bay with his girlfriend for about 2 years prior to Laura's death. He was working at a local fish processing center, and he was on the run from Pennsylvania after SAing a 14-year-old girl. So that's why he was going by an alias. Police questioned him in Coos Bay. He had given fingerprints, answered all the questions, but they didn't really have enough evidence to say he was the one that unalived Laura. So they just kept on with the investigation. But it was actually on July 7th of 1982 when John Wychick was actually walking in an area near Gold Beach, and he had stopped on along the Pistol River Road, which is about 10 miles south of Gold Beach, and he asked a father and a son for directions to some area. I don't know, but they recognized him from the news. I think that's how he was caught. They called police and he was arrested. It was only 1 week prior that investigators put out a warrant for his arrest for the death of Laura. Now, here is John Wycheck still sitting in the Snake River Correctional Institute in Oregon at the age of 82, just wasting away our taxpayers' dollars. This was a sick, sick man. He had essayed a girl in New York, then in Pennsylvania, where I believe his family is from, was running from those charges when he came over to Oregon, decided to rob Laura and unalive her for no reason at all, steal her car, ditch the car. He's a fucking scumbag. Laura definitely did not deserve to have her life cut so short in the way that it was at all. I also found out that her husband, Ron Jack, he went by RJ, did get remarried a couple years later to a news broadcaster in the Eugene area. And he did pass away in 2017 from cardiac arrest. Laura was just trying to enjoy her day off and go to a place that was one of her favorite spots that made her happy, brought her joy. But unfortunately, that's where her life ended. She's gone, and John is still sitting in prison. Make it make sense.